Yep, okay.
Okay, good morning. Thanks for having me this morning at this wonderful forums, Korean ASEAN SME. Today, I think is a big topic to be discussed in a short time. It is in fact a discussions on the matrix of the issues. That is the challenges and opportunity in this unprecedented pandemic era, and the recently signed the world largest free trade agreement. Let us look at this first slide. I have quite a number of slides to go through in a short time. You see 59 million. You look at this figure, I think this figure is not what a GDP figure or whatsoever economic figure. It is cases, the global cases of the COVID-19 today. So I think it's a 59 million, close to 60 million, almost double the Malaysian's population. I think this is the most common search word in the world now, in respect of this word. That is a COVID-19. Yeah, let's look at this. There's no more business as usual. In Malaysia, we have a movement control since 18th of March to 3rd of May. Then we came back to resume our work. Now, third wave, now we have our CMCO, Conditional Movement Control Order. Then you look at the cinema is closing, and then the big name of the shopping complexes is closing as well. And then it affects a lot of SMI and the SME. In fact, in my view, the pandemic may not able to kill the business. It is the restrictions of movement that disrupt our business. That's why economic theory, demand and supply. If you don't go out, movement control, you don't demand, there's no supply. There's a supply chain disruptions. But in this fine line, we notice there's an erupt of the online business. You look at this slide that I worked it out for the ASEAN and the Korea. ASEAN, there's 10 countries, and in Korea of the SME and the contributions of the GDP and share of export. You will notice, I won't go through one by one, you will notice the most common as establishments of the SME in all the country is well above 90%. However, SME create the most job opportunities in all the countries. But you notice there's one significant factor, that is contribution to GDP continues to be low. It's quite low level. A lot of country is still, I think, hovering around 30%. And then that means it's a low tech, low dependence on the IT and the automations. Let's look at the Associated Chinese Chambers of Commerce in Malaysia. We have done a survey in respect of this one. The survey noticed that more than 80% of the businesses during this pandemic, there's a challenges. What are the challenges? That means the top two, impact of the COVID-19 and then the movement control order. This one will disrupt our businesses. Then the rest is high operating costs and so on. Let's look at this. The Department of Statistics of Malaysia have done two questions. If you ask a question, what are the main issues that affect your business? The main issue is what? Because our business is not open, all the SME, no customer, no footfall have been dropping drastically. There's a salary you still have to pay. Luckily, Malaysia is having this, I think most of the country also having this, we call it wages subsidy program. Our wages subsidy program rescue up to now, I think almost 3.3 million of our employee, the workforce. And then there's no customer. The third problem is the renters still have to be paid. But there are two main assistance that SME needed in these challenges. But we need, what are the tools? There is a finance and subsidy, as I mentioned just now, the wages subsidy. And then there's a finance with low interest. Some of the micro businesses, we came out with the 0% interest. Perhaps the second most sorted assistance is a tax reductions. In a newspaper Star, I mentioned this one, building resilience for the SME. That's why Malaysia came out with the 4 economic stimulus packages. These four economic stimulus packages totaling about 305 billion Malaysian ringgit, equivalents to 75 billion US dollars. This is number one. I think we stand at number one. We're above the rest of the country of the in the ASEAN 10 countries. Plus our 2021 budgets recently announced on the 6th of November, another so-called about 80 billion US dollars being in place in order to rescue the economy, especially more than 90% establishment is SMB. Let's look at this. You see, in this pandemic, the SMB, we would like to have a SWOT analysis. We would like to increase our income and reduce our expenses, but our income is not increased, but our expenses stay on there as a fixed expenses. That's why we have the government assistance. But are we going to increase our asset? A lot of online businesses have been discussed, but are we going to invest in all those things? If we want to invest, we must have the loan, but the loan will increase the liability. So I think the most important now is not the profit that generated by the SME or the SMI. Perhaps the cash flow is the most important. In the good time, we want profit because IPO you need profit, loan you need profit, investor want to see profit. But in the bad time like this pandemic, we need cash flow for survival strategy. Look at the graph that I draw on the right-hand side. You see, last time we have a milestone A. Actually, our cost almost stagnant. Then our growth is easily attained. But now, I think we got to move from this milestone A to milestone B. We need more time. That's why we have to look up for more possible opportunity for your business. Let's look at this opportunity ahead. Recently, with all the ASEAN countries, 10 countries plus 5 inclusive of Korea, Japan, China, Australia, and New Zealand signed this on the 15th of November, 2 weeks ago. This one is the world's largest trade agreement. If you don't seize the opportunity now as an SME, I think it will be a threat. As the Milton Berle, I think it's American, film producer once said, if opportunity doesn't knock, you have to build a door as an SME in order to knock the door. This is a asset that we sign. I think it's a free market. Let us look at this slide. You see, tariff will be moved in 1 year, removed in 1 year. That's why when we export our goods, if you don't export, other people will import. Liberalization of services and the licenses. The most important thing, I think, is economic, technical cooperation between the SME. will cross over the border. So that's why this has become open market and then level playing field among us. It is, I think, an opportunity for our SME to look at all this in detail in respect of the asset. Let's come back to Malaysia. Malaysia, during the recently announced the economic stimulus packages and the 2021 budget, we have these 4 pillars to promote the investment. The first one is the principal hub. If you come in, we give you tax-free 5 years plus 5 years. Another one is the company relocating to Malaysia of their whatever base, production base or manufacturing base. You will have a 10 years to 15 years tax-free. And then Malaysia, because of this COVID-19, we want all the pharmaceutical products or factories to move to Malaysia. Then we give you a lot of incentive and tax-free as well. In respect of this one, tax rate 0 to 10% for the next 10 years. Virtually, you do not need to pay taxes at all. The fourth is we would like to have you in Malaysia as a hub of the ASEAN. Then it's a global trading center. This is what Malaysians have done to the rest of the world. Okay, this is a slide I put it up. There's the challenges and opportunity of SME in this pandemic. You have to look for new sources. You have to look for the core product and services, And then if you have this asset, you have to go for this merger and acquisitions or restructure your business to look for this new market. And then it's very timely for this forum, engineering forum, is the digitalization or automation is a must in this for your online. If you do online, only offline, I think your business will be out of place. And then last but not least, I have this slide for you. There's a SME future and beyond. Where are we now? We have to produce a 1-year budget to know where are we now? Are we going to spend more? Are we going to earn more? Or where are the cash flow for us for the next 3 to 6 months? And then we have to adapt to what is now the new norm. As I mentioned, the online is a must. And then the third one, to review our product and services to give us a cash flow, And then the productivity analysis of our human resources, our employee and our machinery. You need automation or you do not need automation in your businesses. This is, I think, is the 4 items that is the most crucial to safeguard our cash flow. Last but not least, I pick it up this from the book, Make Your Money Grow. I think you can't live well by accident now. If there ever a time with the good luck, that time was long since past. You got to plan and ready to chart your course between today and the future. The only certainty of this modern life, especially in this pandemic era, is the uncertainty. We got to change for the betterment. We got to change for the better future. Thank you for your time and stay safe and take care. Over to you, Engineer Yao, our moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kong, for such a good closing remarks on and also message to our participants today. We will, for participants, I think we will leave the Q&A at the end of the session. So thank you once again to Mr. Kong for the sharing session for the first sharing session. So let's move on to our next speaker, and we'll give more time for the first speaker to prepare. So let's move on to our next speaker from Cambodia. And he's none other than Mr. Lee Sovanaret from Cambodia. Mr. Lee is the assistant to the cabinet of Samdech Prime Minister Hun Sen. He is also the current chairman of the ASEAN Academy of Engineering and Technology Cambodia, AAETC. He is also the Deputy Director General of the Board of Engineers Cambodia's lab. Now he's going to speak to us on the market orientation and enabling environment for engineering and technology in Cambodia and Korea. So I'll hand over the control to Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, are you ready?
Yes,
Yes, Mr. Lee. Okay. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me sharing the screen.
Sure.
So you see my presentation slide?
Yes, but it's on presentation PowerPoint, so you can just put it on the screen now. Yes, can. Okay, you can start.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Yao Jiafeng, and very good morning all the participants, especially very good morning to our friend from Korea, and Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Professor, Doctor, and everyone, our friend in here. Let me introduce myself. I am Lee Sovanaret. I am the chairman of ASEAN Academy of Engineering and Technology Cambodia, and I am also the deputy director general of the Board of Engineers Cambodia. And let me continuing with my presentation today. As you understand, engineering play a significant role to improve the living condition of human beings. To achieve this goal, engineers use their technical knowledge, experience to perform a natural resources to the finished product and satisfy the social demand. This is the significance of Cambodia rectangular strategy. Currently, the royal government has been considering the management of the national intellectual engineering resources and standard of education. For this reason, the ASEAN Academy of Engineering and Technology in Cambodia are established. This is the logo of the AAET in Cambodia. And to be continued, I would like to highlight the key development in Cambodia from in 1993, 2004, 2016, until in 2020. As you can see, Cambodia status in 1993, we are faced with a very difficult situation that we are low income country and our economic status are agriculture based and nominal GDP just 2.5 billion US dollar, GDP per capita 229 US dollar, total trade value 769 million, export 283 million, and domestic revenue just 290 billion real. This is our difficult situation after the killing field. So if you look at to the 2014, our economic status still low income country and economic structure agriculture based. Our nominal GDP grow in 5.3 billion US dollar, GDP per capita 417 US dollars. If you look at in 2016, we are in low medium income country, economic structure still less agriculture dependent, and also nominal GDP 19.8 billion US dollar, GDP per capita 1,300 US dollars, and poverty rate 13.5%. If you look at in 2019 to 2020 and the way forward at Cambodia for IDP, we can see the population in Cambodia 16.25 million in 2000 national census in 2018, and economic status mid-income country, nominal GDP 16.730 billion US dollar, 17 billion US dollar in 2020, and GDP grow 7% in 2019 and minus 2% in 2020, and our GDP per capita 1,643 in 2020, and poverty rate 11.3 in 2019, and unemployment rate 0.68 in 2019, that has increased 0.03 in 2018. For the industrial development plan of the Cambodia government strategy, Cambodia will be a 2025 a skim dry industry, and version in 2013 upper medium income country economic, and also version in 2015 Cambodia will be high income country. I just highlight the rectangular policy for Cambodia in 2019 to 2023, and we can see accelerate of the rectangular strategy are government reform, that is to be ensuring stability of economic growth in 7%, and also increase more job in both quality and quantity, and achievement poverty reduction we are target in below 20%, and also future strengthening the capacity government of public constitution. This is, I just highlight the sector of tourism, government and footwear and also the construction sector to be the contribute the economic growth. So in 18.7% for the tourists, and also 17.0 for government and footwear, and also 3 35.7 for construction that is contribute to GDP grow in 2019, and the total of the contribute for the three sector is 71.4, and also the rate for the percentage of employment 7.1 for tourism, 10.7 for the garment and footwear, and 2.3 for the construction. In 2020, Cambodia played a very significant role for the achieve of the goal that in diversify of export and product for market, and also Cambodia we project the impressive poverty reduction and share the poverty. For in 2015, Cambodia will be self-dependent and self-determination. For update the COVID-19 in Cambodia today, December 4, Cambodia, the first case COVID virus was confirmed on January 27 in 2020, and also in May 12 in 2020, Cambodia case 122 case. For this today, December 4 in 2020, Cambodia have 331 case, 17 case in community, 304 recover, 0 death. This is only some highlight of the sector that Cambodia will grow. You can see in 2012 until 2019, Cambodia grow in 7% of the GDP and drop to -1 to -2 of GDP because of the COVID-19. And for the government and footwear for export still stabilized, but also we also face with the internal demand stock. During the COVID-19, we can see the sector, four sector, agriculture, service, industry, dropped in -1 to -2, but we also stabilized from 12, as I mentioned in early, we stabilized from 2012 to 2019. And also, as Mr. Kok also mentioned about the GDP also implicated in the global demand of sector. For tourism also dropped because of the timing, but we can see the construction material also, we are also working well, but we also faced with the construction activity case, especially the supplying. And this is the flow of the money grant show that also grow a bank credit with the private sector and decelerated. Cambodia government also adopted the Sustainable Development Goal, and Cambodia also voluntary of the national review in 2019 for the implementation of in 2013 agenda for the sustainable development. This is also the CSG for Cambodia adopted for the qualification, reduce equality, climate action. Because of the timing, I'm moving on quickly. And for the investment opportunity in Cambodia, especially with Korea, we can see Royal Government of Cambodia on February in 2009, top leader of the Kingdom of Cambodia, Prime Minister Hun Sen, and Republic of Korea, Excellency Moon Jae-in, the President, having highly appreciated relationship and also cooperation between all the two national. And of course, we are doing the good cooperation and also deep in politic relation in 2096, and also Korean agree more investor to invest in Cambodia. And in the meeting of the both leaders are also described about the cooperation, the area like tourism, connectivity, agriculture, infrastructure, human resource, trade, immigrant works, and as soon as well, Korean also familiar issue. And come back to the Cambodia, you can see construction is number one in economic growth in Cambodia. There are 2,867 projects which have 11.4 billion square meter and established investment around 5.2 billion US dollar in 2018 for the construction plan. And according to the report, in 4,460 construction projects and nationwide has the total floor around 18 billion square meter, and also established investment 9.3 billion US dollar to increase around 78.18% if we compare to the 2018 for the construction. And for this year in 2020, Cambodia government has been approved the 3,000 projects of the construction projects, and also 5 billion US dollar has been granted construction permitted to be in this 8 months. So I just highlight some construction that has been approved and in Cambodia. This is all the approval, some highlight. Also, Cambodia also approved it by the supermarket AEON Mall that in 2000, AEON Mall 2 started in 2018, and AEON Mall 3 also started. And also Hyundai is the company who are get the construction from the Japan side. And Cambodia will have a highest building in ASEAN that is has been approved, that the budget 3 to 4 billion US dollar and 133 storage around 500 meter high in Phnom Penh. All some highlight from the development of the construction. And also this is the new project that is 1.5 billion US dollar size in 2,600 hectare. That is a new airport in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, and we are number 9 largest airport in the world. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, for an impressive ending on the construction projects in Cambodia, which I believe a lot of the participants today would be interested to know later. Once again, thank you, Mr. Lee from Cambodia on the presentation. Now, let us move on to our next speaker of the day. Speaker is from Indonesia, Dr. Iswanto. And Dr. Iswanto is the environmental health lecturer and researcher at the Yogyakarta Health Polytechnic, Indonesia. He is also the head of Community-Based Solid Waste Management Association in Yogyakarta Province from 2009 and 2015. Now, today, he's going to present to us the role of digitization technology for promoting the recycling industry in Yogyakarta, mitigation of impacts and challenges to COVID-19 pandemic. So I would like to hand over the control to Dr. Iswanto for his presentation. Dr. Iswanto, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Iswanto, I come from Yogyakarta. I will share our presentation here. Yes, the title of my presentation is the roles of digitization technology for promoting the recycling industry in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, mitigation of impacts and challenges due to COVID-19 pandemic. My outline is problem identification, community-based recycling industries in Yogyakarta, impact and challenges due to COVID-19 pandemic toward recycling industries in Yogyakarta, and digitization technology by Rappel for recycling industry in Yogyakarta. Welcome to Yogyakarta, one of the 34 provinces in Indonesia. The population of Yogyakarta province around 3.9 million people. Average waste generation 0.7 kilogram per person per day. So the total of waste in Yogyakarta province about 2,715.60 ton per day. This is Indonesia waste portrait. Indonesia produce about 200,000 tons a day, and most of the waste is dumped in landfill. Yes, about 69%, and also most of the waste come from households, and then 50% is organic waste. I initiated community-based solid waste management in Sukunan village. In my village, I started living in the village since 1997. The first I faced the waste problem in my village. So I was confused how to manage the waste independently, productively, and eco-friendly. This is on the picture how the waste can destroy on the paddy field, and also most people just burn all type of the waste and waste anywhere in Sukunan village. And I learned from scavengers, and I can observe that the scavengers pick up and separated the garbage into some types: paper, plastic, bottle, cans, metal, and so on. Then they sold to recyclable waste trader or middleman. And this is learned from landfill in Yogyakarta. Many scavengers work in the landfill, and the conclusion of the observed is almost all garbage, especially in organic waste, is recyclable material after separated by scavengers. So I emerged a community-based solid waste management, like community-based recycling industry. So the principle is solid waste separated by household into three categories: sellable waste, so recycled by industries, big industries. So the community just collect and then sell to the middleman. After that, and the community can get income for selling the waste. And the second is how to separate the recycle and reusable waste by community. So the community can recycle it or reuse it, and they can produce the recycling product. So from recycling product, they can sell to public, and so they can get additional income. And this is the real problem is unsellable and unrecyclable waste. So we must make a prevention policy from local government and also from community. So we hope the residual waste go into landfill is minimum. And this is a recyclable waste in Yogyakarta. We observe organic, plastic, paper, metal, glass, and e-waste. So There are three categories: recyclable, sellable, and residual. And we use a circular economy of solid waste applied in my village in Yogyakarta. So in the circular economy, how take a raw material and make it anything and then use. After use, we can repair, reuse, and recycle. So like zero waste. Yeah, so the environment can be safe. And principle how to solve the problem of solid waste with potential waste. So we see the solid waste as resources. So the principle of community-based solid waste management is independently, productively, eco-friendly, and not for profit. So ecology and economics for community can get it better. And the community-based recycling industry in Sukunan before COVID-19 pandemic. The first we look with my wife for appropriate recycling technology, composting, crop, and so on. I propose the idea to the community, and then after that we keep socialization and also education to community, community empowerment with various approaches to teach children game competition and mural competition and so on in the bins. And this is implementation of the community-based solid waste model of the community. So the community collecting recycled waste, waste through waste bank and waste donation system. So from community to middlemen, and from middlemen to recycle factories or big industries. So the community can get money from selling the waste. And we also established a plastic recycling club business unit in this village. So the principle is how make a crop, recycling crop by women, by young people, and so on into the crop, recycling crop like this. And this is from plastic sachet, milk, coffee sachet, and so on. So we can produce anything, like this. Like this school bag and also the bins, and we also export since 2005 into the abroad, and this is on the product of from recycled plastic. And this is also paper and used cloth recycling club business unit in my village. And styrofoam or polystyrene waste utilization business unit, we grind it and then mix with cement and sand, 1-3-3. 1 cement, 3 sands, and 3 styrofoam. So we can make brick, flower pot, and also the wall for house. And for glass waste recycling business unit, we also grind. We created a machine for grinding the glass, and then we also use the grinding glass for brick and so on. And this is a recycling furniture home industries. We can sell the furniture, the chair, table from recycled material. And Excel craft business unit, we also produce the craft like this, souvenir and so on. And this is composting business unit at home industry. So just mixing 1-1-1 fresh, organic, the dry leaf, and cattle manure, and then watering, and then we just like this, and this is harvest on the compost. And composter business unit, we created some type of the composter. This is aerobic composter, a biopod, a clay composter, and the young people also products the composter, including the composter in the garden. And we produce a waste recycling machine business in this. And this is a product eco-friendly home industry like water heater, water heater on stove, and also natural refrigerator, urine for fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, and this is on the pet room, eco-friendly. And reusable sanitary napkin and reusable diaper business unit like this. Yes. and promoting recycling tourism to young generation. Before pandemic, about 1,000 visitors to my village for educating and also training and so on. And impact on the waste recycling industry in the Sukunan village, open business vacancies and employment, additional income for community, environmental quality improvement, social strengthening, and public health improvement. This impact of community-based solid waste management on waste reduction into the landfill, and this is on the community-based group. And this is impact and challenges due to COVID-19 pandemic toward recycling industry in Yogyakarta, from China, Singapore, and Jakarta in 2nd March 2020, and go to Yogyakarta 15 March 2020. So the government policy of large-scale social distancing. So many people work from home, change in urban lifestyle and consumption pattern, use of masks and online shopping, increase in masks and packaging waste, increasing the amount of the composition of waste. This is after pandemic tend to decrease into the landfill. So impact of COVID pandemic on recycling industry in Yogyakarta: less waste bank activity, difficulty on collecting of sellable waste, difficulty for selling of equipment and recycling product on site, less tourist visits to recycling industries, increasing use of good masks and packaging, so increasing price in the household. This is challenges and opportunities in recycling during COVID-19 pandemic. So many people like gardening, so they need a compost, and also need a plant seed. And people prefer online service or selling and recycling product. So they need application of digital system, need drop off and pick up to and from house. So align it with the needs of community and consumer during the pandemic. So using information technology, smartphone, internet, and so on. So the digitization system, application, e-commerce, e-banking, and practical convenience and reliable is needed. So this is a social media for promoting and selling recycled product online. And this is a application of Rappel for recycling industry in Yogyakarta. There are 3 applications for recycling in Indonesia: Rappel.id in Yogyakarta, and Mall Sampah, mallofwaste.com Makassar, and Recycle in ID Jakarta. So this is the emerging for need the community. This is the Rappel principle, an application for selling and buying non-organic waste with value. The waste has been sorted out by type by its owner, the users of the application. The garbage is sold to collector and or the agents who are the Rappel partner. So user and collector get points from buying and selling trash, and points can be exchanged for various prices according to the promotion. This is a mechanism, Rappel, a circular economy, and consecutive step using Rappel apps, user, waste generator, install Rappel apps by their smartphones, which is collect and sort out waste according to its type, which is post its the type of the waste, photos and weight using the apps. Collector visit which is placed and rewrite which is trash to ensure the actual weight of the trash, and then the waste will be valued individually according to age, weight, and condition. A waste generator earns cash from collector or as saving in the apps. So every transaction and use of the application will earn point, then can be exchanged for attractive offer, Rappel point. And this is a customer of Rappel's, household, student, waste bank customer, 3R waste treatment place customer, hotel, school, hospital, industries. Meanwhile, Rappel stakeholder, application developer, customer, collector, waste bank management, 3R waste management, trash agent, and recycling companies. So now the current number of Rappel user about 2,200 customer. And this is the type of trash can be sold through wrapped ups, paper, plastic, glass bottle, metal, electronic waste, and used cooking oil. This is estimated amount of non-organic waste sold through wrapped ups in Yogyakarta. This is a plastic total amount, and then this is a sellable waste, and this is paper, metal, glass, and e-waste. This is estimated a non-organic waste reduction through wrapped apps about 68%. And among organic waste sold through recycling industry, not by rappel, but this is by community-based recycling industries. And the community can reduce organic about 85%, non-organic 14%. And this is amount of waste reduction from combined rappel and Yogyakarta's recycling industry, about 65%. And the benefits of using rappel apps and recycling industry for waste reduction by SMEs was a potential new job creation, about 780 collectors, waste avoidance into level about 65% and higher than national target, 30%. And then potential selling waste by rappel about $2,936 US per month, and also selling compost by recycling industry about 5.27 ton per month. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Iswanto, for the presentation on waste management. Thank you once again. And now, before we move on to the next speaker, again, for those who have questions, you can post it on the chat room. And of course, later, if you want to actually ask questions yourself, we will actually allow you to do that by the raising of hand function later. Okay, so now let's move on back to our speaker. Our first speaker of the day was supposed to be Dr. Soo-Jung Myung, and now she's in the room already. So we'll actually invite her to present her presentation today. Dr. Soo-Jung Myung is actually from Korea, the Senior Research Fellow of the Korea Environment Institute. She is also the co-chair of Scientific Planning Group for the Asia Pacific Network, APN, for Global Change Research. She'll be presenting on Korea's international environmental cooperation cases and ways forward in post-COVID-19. So I'll hand over the control to Dr. Soo-Jung Myung. Dr. Soo-Jung Myung, are you ready?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful meeting. I'm Soo-Jung Myung at Korea Environment Institute. Today, what I'm going to present is about Korea's international environmental cooperation cases and ways forward in the post-COVID-19 era. My major content of presentation is environment issues and needs, and secondly, environmental cooperation cases. And also I would like to find out which direction we should go in the future. So ways forward is the next one. Mainly, I would like to share Korea's experience of environmental cooperation with other countries. And also, I would like to share some environmental related initiatives which we can do together with other ASEAN Pacific countries. Firstly, environment issues and needs. I think some of you already mentioned about environmental problems like solid waste. There are lots of environmental problems like pollutions, also biodiversity loss, natural resource depletion, and population concentration in cities. So later I'm going to talk about the city initiatives. There's so many environmental problems in cities. So if we focus on city and solve some solutions, we can remove a lot of environmental issues in our daily life. Another environmental issue is climate change. I think everyone heard about Paris Agreement. Since it is so urgent to reduce greenhouse gas in the world, globally, UNFCCC, they set Paris Agreement in 2015, and every country declared how much carbon greenhouse gas is going to be cut. So reducing greenhouse gas emission is everybody's homework to in this age. But not only greenhouse gas emission control, we have another issues regarding climate change. That is the adverse effect of climate change. So we need to mitigate, we need to reduce greenhouse gas. That is what we call climate change mitigation. But at the same time, we need to adapt to climate change. Climate is changing, so we need to adjust how to live, how to survive in this changing climate. So we need to use the meteorological data more wisely. So I'm going to talk about that example later. Another one is the sustainable development. Before 2015, UN set Millennium Development Goals, but after that, UN set new development goals, that is Sustainable Development Goals. From SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals 6 to 15, it is related a lot of related with environment a lot, especially SDG 12 to 15 is about green consumption, climate change, and also land ecosystem, those goals. So we need to focus on these kind of sustainable development goals. Also, we need to pay attention to SDG 17. That is implementation tools, but it is focusing on international partnership to achieve these global goals. So environmental cooperation case is all about SDG 17, but at the same time, it is also achieving other SDG goals. For example, SDG 12 or SDG 13 and 15. But now this year we have a new environmental, it's not really environment, but it's a lot related with environment. New issues, that is COVID-19. COVID-19 is about wildlife. After humans started to develop wild areas, as you see in this left side figure, we humans get exposed to a lot of wildlife related virus. Then now we are here and COVID-19 came. So as we develop more, as we urbanize more, we are going to meet more viruses and more zoonotic disease will expand, like COVID-19. But with this COVID-19, we have some positive effect as well. This is the left side figure. You see, this is China and this is Korean Peninsula. Left one is before COVID-19. This is the NAEK distribution, the concentration. After COVID-19, the left side imagery shows the And situation cut a lot. It is very clear. So actually, this year, Korean Peninsula is enjoying clean airs. So there's pros and cons with the new environment. But definitely, we have a new era with COVID-19. So we need to understand what is our issues, what is new environmental issues these days, and why should we prepare for to overcome these new issues. That is what I'm going to talk at the end. Okay, I'm going to share some examples of environmental cooperation cases of Korea. First one is actually, it's more related with agriculture. When we grow crops, we need to fertilize, we need to water, we should do a lot of things to grow crops and vegetables and others. To increase the efficiency, if we have a very well-developed soil map, we can do much better. So rural development agents in Korea, they set AFASI, that is ASEAN Food and Agriculture Cooperation Initiatives. And they set ASEAN Soil Map and Information System project. This AFASI project includes 13 countries in ASEAN region, and with the FAO, they generated new soil maps. So before, they have very vague maps with world reference base, but with this project, they developed much detailed and more accurate maps. What you see in the right side is the soil map in Bangladesh. With this kind of maps, they could generate more, they could increase agricultural productivity much more. The next one is, this is capacity building project. This is very much related with the SDG 12. It's about consumption. Korean government helped. This is about Thailand with green purchase, green consumptions. So they just launched the project a few years ago, and they are trying to helping set policies for environmental certification, and also with capacity building programs and consultings. So they set example books with 3 languages: Thai, Korean, and English. And this is helping so much about green procurement of the countries. And they also set capacity building education materials. This is online. And I heard that they are going to change it into many languages. So probably many of you can listen to this education materials. And with this kind of policy, new policy, you can reduce a lot of solid waste, and also you can increase a lot of pro-environmental materials. Next one is waste management plan. A lot of ODA projects done by Korea is developing master plans. This is development of Indonesia's waste management plan. So they set waste minimization, waste resource part, and also waste safety management, and also advancement of waste management. So with this kind of 4 sectors, they set 3 phases of waste management plan. Previous presentation was about the solid waste. I think with this master plan, you can find out what's the next stage, what you should find for next steps. So once you find what kind of a solid waste management approach, you can find out what you should do next stages. So Korea is also helping with the next stage as well. So I think you can continuously move on with this master plan. The next one is meteorological cooperation cases. This is done by Korea Meteorological Agency. Korea have a satellite. We have many satellites. And one of the satellite is about detecting meteorological condition. So with this satellite information, it increases weather forecast. So especially with the severe weather condition like a typhoon, it helps greatly. So Korea also have a typhoon committee with ASEAN countries. You know, typhoon is only ASEAN countries terms. So with countries with the typhoon, we gather together and with this kind of meteorological data and help to reduce the adverse effect by extreme weather conditions. And this slide shows the typhoon monitoring and forecasting platform in Lao PDR. The next one shows the tropical cyclone Sonstein analysis by TIOS. You see the satellite imagery, and it shows which direction the typhoon goes and moves. So you can, this helps early warning system. So if we catch which area is going to face typhoon or cyclone, the resident in that area, they can move to other areas, they can escape. So it can reduce a lot of casualty with extreme event. And this map shows Korean Meteorological Agency international cooperation partners and ODA project. Korea is here. A lot of ASEAN countries is we work together. And also KAMA wants to expand this kind of network more widely. So I hope you can work with the Korean government more. And this is the list of the meteorological cooperation countries like Vietnam, Myanmar, Mongolia, Cambodia, Bangladesh, Uzbekistan, Fiji, Ethiopia, Sri Lanka, and many, many countries. And the detailed information is written in very small text, but later you can find it if you are interested. And the next part, I would like to share my idea and my point to share at this presentation. These days, the paradigm of a city has changing dramatically. As I said at the beginning, city has all kinds of environmental issues, but because of that, if we focus on city and if we start to solve environmental issues in cities, we can remove a lot of problems. And one approach is smart city. I think you've heard a lot about smart city already. And Korea has K-City Network, Korea City Network. This is aiming to expanding Korean style smart city model through international cooperation. So Ministry of Land and Transportation in Korea, they launched new initiatives 2020 K-City Network Global Cooperation Program, and total 80 countries, 80 cities in 23 countries applied for this project. And finally, 12 projects was selected. The countries you are seeing here, including Malaysia, and also Myanmar, Russia, Vietnam, Indonesia, Peru, many countries were selected, and they are going to have this K-City network. They will be, they are going to be part of this project, and they will launch the example of smart city in Korean style. This is Indonesian case. They did necessity assessment. The other one is just launched by Ministry of Environment. Actually, we started to from our within Korea first. We are looking for model smart green city to face this climate change, also COVID-19 era. Green smart city suggested by Ministry of Environment, it has many aspects of environmental aspect. One is urban resilience. This is greatly related with climate change adaptation. Second one is low emission. It's about greenhouse gas reduction. And the other one is ecosystem restoration. You know, the decade now is decade of restoration. A lot of ecosystem of the world is destroyed. So UN is promoting the term restoration for damaged ecosystem. And we wanted to reflect this kind of a concept in smart green city. The next one is human-centered. These days, because of COVID-19, many people got suffer a lot and they are isolated and within very small, inside a very small space, many people suffer, and also they kind of lost connection with other peoples because of COVID-19. With this kind of environmental issues, Smart Green City wanted to find the solutions for this era of environment issues. It has climate resilient items, water circulation items, ecosystem restoration items, water reuse item, urban forest items. So this is a very basic concept of smart green city business model. So in Korea, we launched smart green city initiatives. So within our country in Korea, we are going to collect 25 good practice cities. And then we are going to expand this to entire nations. And the third stage, we are going to expand this kind of smart green city model to other countries. So later on, we will launch new global initiatives for smart green cities. So I hope people who are listening to this presentation later, please join this project and be part of Korean City Partnership. So my concluding remark is leading a sustainable future through international cooperation in the environmental field is our aim in Korean government. And we would like to share our experience and our know-how with other countries. And also with this kind of know-how and experience, we believe we can overcome many difficulties together in this era of COVID-19. This is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you from Korea on the topic just now. And let us move on to our next speaker of the day, who is actually from Laos. Dr. Kampusat. Dr. Kampusat, are you ready? Okay. Maybe just a quick introduction of Dr. Kampusat. He's the Associate Professor of the Department of Civil Engineering, National University of Laos. He's also the CEO of Arkinia Associate Company Limited. Dr. Kampuset Tengvangsa today will be presenting on the engineering and professional practice and business in Laos during the pandemic. So I hand over the control to Dr. Kampuset. Are you ready now?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. The floor is yours. You'll be sharing the slides?
Okay.
Okay.
Share. Just wait a moment.
Yep.
Try to share. Can you see?
Yes, can.
Yes. Okay.
Start now.
Okay. Good morning, all delegate and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kampuset Tengvangsa from Laos. Thank you for Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. Anyway, I would like to share some, movement in Laos a bit about engineering and professional practice and business in Laos during the pandemic. Let me go for the last decade, the rapid increase of investment and energy, mining, agriculture, industrial, tourism, and sector important in the economic growth in Laos in the past decade. But recently, I think every country have the same impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and affect Laos economic growth on many sectors. And engineering service is one of the key important service and business that support the economic growth in Laos last the decade. And for the project development, like the big development in Laos recently and also the past decade is hydropower plants, transmission line, other infrastructure and transportation. As you may know, we are a developing country. So lots of infrastructure and also other like still ongoing. But anyway, the engineering professional and also education and practice is a challenge for the social and economic development, especially during this pandemic and in the near future after post pandemic. And I would like to show you, some of you may know about Laos, but I would like to a bit the information about Laos. Laos area about 236 and 800 square meters. Population recently about 7 million people. Density is about 30 people per square meter. A square kilometer is a small population. And the GDP about 18 billion US dollar. In case Laos, the COVID case is a total case from last year until now is about 39 cases. I think the smallest one, I think, compared to other ASEAN countries, luckily. And but recover 26, but no 0 days case so far. But recently, still in the case about 13 case, still under in hospital under by the special commission. So this is compared to the other is small because maybe we have a small population. In the meantime, we are quite the government quite have a quick action on the border and also in the transportation. A lot of policy to stop the spread of the COVID. So luckily we have a small number. So during this pandemic, we have not so big, compared to other, a bit effect to the traveling and also the daylight of the people. You can see from the very small number. By the way, I would like to show you something about the economic goal from the 2015. We have the very high GDP growth, like 7.27%. But in the last year, especially at the end of the year 2019, is a drop to 5.46%. But this one is just before the pandemic. And the sector that the investment in Laos is mostly, you can see, is the electricity generation. It's about 60% of the. Another one is service and other thing, mining. So about mostly is electricity and mining in the country. Another one is just minor. And this is the investment by sector that we can see from the number, how many, about 80 billion US dollar, 8 billion US dollars, so about the total investment. Another one is investment by the country. You can see, of course, by local Lao investment is about 47%. Another one, the biggest is China, about 30%. I'm not sure in another ASEAN country. And also Thai and Vietnam, because we are the neighborhood. So this is the number is this own neighborhoods and investment country. And of course, this is the value of investment for China, about 4 billion, and another is respectively. But anyway, during just before the pandemic, we have a big impact. You can see from this the drop of the investment because of many projects, especially the hydropower in Laos, a bit delay and stop and hold from the many projects. So that's a big drop of this. But anyway, from the service, such kind of SME is not a big impact. It's a small impact. Most of Lao people is normally spend the lifetime and import from Laos, from Thai, from Vietnam. But this day is good for the domestic economy, because they can purchase the in-house product, local product more than before. So, but the big change is because the big mega project, hydropower, mining, infrastructure. So this is a number that estimate from World Bank. There will be, hopefully next year will be coming up because of we try to find the solution to improve a bit the activity. So we try to use the domestic or local firm or company to participate more in the construction and industrial for local, other than bring some other cross-border or international expert or investment. So this is hopefully next year we'll be back. Okay, from that's the overall of the economy. But anyway, I would like to share about the engineering practice in Laos. Since we have a small population, most of the project we bring some cross-border international engineer, especially from Thailand, Vietnam, or even the labor. And also some investment from China and the Chinese engineer. But in the meantime, we try to provide the engineering program to build the human resource. But still population very small, and we have just 3 university that provide the engineering program. So very small. So, but the project is you can see a very big development, but we have a small number of the graduate students. So, for example, the year we can produce only for civil engineering, chemical, environmental, electrical, and also IT and mechanical, and also mining is totally not more than 2,000 per year. But most of them might be have qualified or not is another issue. It's maybe 50-50. So average of 1,000 that they can enter to the industrial. I mean, engineering, industrial, construction. So this is not so big number. And after the graduation, the engineering professional practice, we have the not so well, established the engineering profession, organization. So recently, we have only the Council of the Lao Architect and Civil Engineer, and also Association of Lao Architect and Civil Engineer. It's a well-known that we have been established last 15 years. But still, you can see only the civil engineer have been, well organized or well developed. But another one have been not, exhibit or considering in the society. But recently, because of the big development in the energy sector, especially hydropower dam, they have the government paid, attention to manage the big development on the dam, because you may have a news on the failure of the dam from the last 2 years. It's a big damage. So we set up a Lao association on dam. So I was also in this committee that recently. Another one is coming up, Lao Water Supply Sanitary Association, Lao Transportation, and other, but maybe take time. So anyway, it's compared to another ASEAN country, we're still behind on that kind of professional, regulating body to how say to do to manage all kind of this engineering. That's a main or major supporting professional for the country development. And this is two association that recently that they have a member about 102,000 members, but 70% is civil engineer. And this and another just recently, just a month ago, 2020, they have about 150 members, include civil, electrical, mechanical engineer, but not specific like professional engineer, but is about the dams. So this is still the issue that how we, as you know, assembly or of this engineer together, like other like Malaysia or Thailand or Vietnam. By the way, let's see the population of the engineering profession and also the project that are going or on plan in the future. How we can manage or how the challenge for us. You can see this is one of the greater Mekong sub-region link load system, and Laos is one of them because Laos is landlocked. Then many project is across to Laos. So the government try to make a policy to make a landlocked to become a land link. So lots of infrastructure, especially highway, to connect from Thailand to Vietnam, Vietnam to or even Thailand to China. You can the green one is a railway or another many other. So this is a big challenge for us. You can see from the population of our engineer and also the university that produce the young engineer is very small to handle this kind of infrastructure. So this number also is more detail about the highway or road network in Laos. You can see the number from 2010 2017, a big development. But you can see from this one, the 17% is a paved road, but another 82% unpaved. So it's about more than I think 50 or 100,000 kilometers still on the way to construct and in the future. So it's a big challenge for us. Another sector I just mentioned is a major sector that build the economic in Laos is hydropower. Since we can see that we have about 36 that already generates, but still under construction 33 projects. That's a very big 4,000 megawatt. It's a big construction project, and another under developing. So this is also another opportunity. In the meantime, it's a challenge for Laos because we can see from the contrast between the project development and the population of the engineer in Laos. Another one is Lao government try to encourage the development of the urban development. So they have many economic zone. So you can see from the north to the south. So especially the major city that have close to Thailand and also China. So this is a big development continually and gradually. A lot of infrastructure and also the housing and also urban development. But some of them is under Chinese investor. So this most of the investment they bring on the engineering from the investment country together with the investor. From that information and that development and movement in this economic development regarding to hydropower infrastructure and urban development, we can see that the big challenge and in meantime opportunity that the engineering human resource development is very small number, and the strengthening the engineering education program it is important to integrate with the industrial. So we try to set up a project that support by JICA that will review the curriculum and also support the professor and student to have more higher quality to the society in the future. So this is one of the most important for us. Some key important engineering field have been provided in the university. Just only the National University of Laos, only one university can provide several, about 10 programs, but other just 2 or 3 programs like fundamental like civil engineer, electrical engineer, but not cover on engineering field. This is another challenge. And engineering accreditation commission body have been well developed yet. This is on the way under the council of the civil engineering, just only civil engineer, but not on other field of engineering. So a big challenge to that development and industrial. In the professional practice and development, number of registered engineer is still small. It's just 1,000. So, but you can see the project is many project, more than 10,000 project under developing. But it's small, so most of the engineer we import from neighborhoods and also from the country that come to invest. So, and also only civil engineering that do exist. And another one have been established. Electrical, mechanical, and other have been well established. The Lao engineering profession regulation organization is under developing. The continuity professional development program have been widely implemented, so it's not so well organized in the country. The cooperation between the international engineering firm and the cross-border engineering practice profession are not reported and registered. So the cross-border engineering and expert entry to the site is limited during the pandemic. It is very hard to enter. So another one is on hold and delay of project implementation and the payment is a challenge for the Laos development. So last but not least, for the conclusion, the good engineering human resource development is the first priority framework to develop the engineering practice in Laos. Future research and development on the engineering profession service in Laos need to be implemented as soon as possible. Continuity and sustainable ASEAN and international exchange program is also important activity in the improvement and the performance of engineering service for the industrial. The great effort of the engineering professional practice regulating organization is the key important to develop the engineering practice as well as social and economic development of Laos. So that is the short information I would like to share with all of you, that we have a very big challenge, not the really pandemic, but the development of the hydropower infrastructure, and we have lack of the human resource for that. That's why pandemic another big impact, because we cannot bring all international and other cross-border engineers to support the art for the long term. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dr. Kampuset for an exciting presentation about opportunities and also the challenges, and which I believe later in the Q&A, I think there are already a lot of questions for you from Korea, which later we will go through some questions for you. Okay. Okay. So the next one, the last presentation for this morning, Dr. Kampuset, can you stop sharing the screen? You need to stop sharing the screen. Can you? You need to, okay, thanks. Okay, so let's move on to our last presentation of the morning session before we move to Q&A. Okay, so the last presentation is, of course, the speaker is none other than Mr. Chua Chun Bin from Malaysia. He is the Executive Chairman of Pentamaster Corporation Berhad. And today he's going to present to us impacts, challenges, and opportunities due to COVID-19 on science, engineering, and technology for SMI and SME. So I'll pass the control to Mr. Chua. Mr. Chua, ready? Mr. Chua, we can't hear you. Mr. Chua, can you unmute your mic? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now we can hear you. Thanks.
Hello. Yes, sorry. Still good morning. Okay. Thank you everybody, and good morning everybody, and welcome and to hear. I'm going to have a short presentation about spend 15 minutes as the speaker. So my challenges as being an engineering company, for me, myself is an engineer by profession, and I'm trained as a electrical engineers. And after working in multinational for many years, 4 years in Intel and in National Semiconductors. So in 1991, I started my own company, engineering company. And my company is Pentamaster, is specialized in factory automation, and mainly specialized in supporting semiconductors in the industry during the early stage. And later on, after year 2000, we start venturing into many industry like medical, automotive, and still focusing on engineering services, design, and support. And so before I talk about what are the impact and the challenges and the opportunity of the pandemic, so maybe briefly, allow me to briefly to introduce our company. What is our company doing is, skip all this. Okay. Mainly our core competency of our company is we have mechanical engineering design, we have software programming, we have control engineering, we have vision and optics design technology, we also have electronic and instrumentation, and we also have medical devices design. And in total, we have about 400 to 500 engineers, and we're still hiring a lot of engineers, even though during this pandemic. I think engineering in Malaysia, I think Professor Chua know that we are hungry for engineers, we shortage of engineers, and maybe other country as well, because in this industrial era, to grow the company, to grow the economy, to grow the country, we need a lot of engineers, especially in this era of Industrial 4.0. And especially in this pandemic, I would say this is also an opportunity, because when pandemic happened, a lot of manufacturing going for automation, going for online, going for IT intelligence, because, and also you cannot travel, you cannot depend on human, you cannot go near to your factory. If you can operate a factory with lights off, with automation, that means you don't have to depend on so many operators, you know. So these are the opportunity for being an automation company. And my company have a worldwide presence today. We have present in United States, we are present in China, we are present in Korea, Singapore, you know, Taiwan, you know. So mainly our export are 80% export, and all these export are supporting the semiconductors company, you know, like phone makers, like those are semiconductor, those are top Fortune 500 company. And also we are going into EV, automotive, you know, testing the components. We also going into automation for medical devices. For example, the IVC, pen needles, you know, all these things require a lot of engineering, engineers to do design and support. So these are our customer base worldwide, you know. We have one of the, you know, few top customers in the world that, you know, using our solution to supporting their manufacturing, to supporting their production, to supporting their design. So what we do, we cover 3 areas. One is a factory automation. That means what we do is like a manufacturing production floor. We cover, you know, to replace operators. We do factory automation by using conveyor, robotics, vision, software intelligence, you know, data intelligence, some AI involved. So this is a total factory automation. At the same time, we also do island automation, means for any component testing, for any devices assembly individual, we also do, we call ATE, means automated test equipment, automated assembly equipment. All these things, automated test equipment and assembly equipment, you will link them up and become a total manufacturing solution. Okay. And we also now going into smart automated warehouse solution. And especially during this pandemic situation, I think there's a lot of opportunity for online distribution, online commerce business. You need a distributed warehouse, distributed logistics system. So this is very timely. 2 years ago, we come out with this automated warehousing solution that allow your inventory, your SKU, your products to be stored locally and then distribute locally. And as you know, today with this pandemic, today you're talking about, in the past 10 years, you're talking about globalization. I think the concept of globalization has transformed to localization. And because of the supply chain restriction of traveling, and this localization has made the automated warehousing solution very, very important for, especially for the online distribution, you know, commerce. So we are one of the SME in Malaysia. I think just now, Mr. Kong, you know, the second speaker or the third speaker, SME represent 90% of our Malaysia country business establishment. And total, there are around 1 million SME. We are one of them. And in fact, we hire a lot of engineers. We hire technicians. And SME contribute about 35% of the Malaysian GDP. And in Malaysia alone, I think automation has been a very lucrative business opportunity, because in the last 40 years, a lot of multinational company, especially semiconductor company, multinational company have moved to Malaysia to set up their manufacturing plant in Malaysia, especially in Penang. The beautiful island of Penang, and those have not been to Penang, please welcome to Penang. We have beautiful, nice, religious food, you know. And in Penang, we have a lot of automation company, because 40 years ago, this company like Intel, multinational company like National, Hitachi, They come here, they look for local support, local supply chain. And then for the past 40 years, and we engineers working in multinational, we came out and set up our as a local SME company. And today my company has been there 30 years. We have been supporting this company. We learned from them, we gained a lot of experience. And then we have been moving along together with them. When they moved to China, when they moved to Vietnam, we also moving along. So automation is one of the key contribution of GDP to Malaysia. And today, SME contribute about 35% of Malaysia GDP. And one of them, like, I think in Penang, we have about more than 20 good automation company. For the whole country, we have about more than 50 to 100 automation company in Malaysia. So, okay, what are the impact? When COVID suddenly happened in beginning of this year, March, it caught everybody by surprise because we have challenges in the sense of suddenly our supply chain was, we depend on some from China, we depend on some local, and then due to MCO, maybe it's a movement control order by a Malaysian government. So all the local supply chain are being asked to stop, to operate, or to reduce working hours. All these things had affecting us in terms of our supply chain. And also for our business, we require to travel for whatever machine engineering solution that we make. 80% are export. We need to travel to like China, India, USA to send our engineer there to do the setup and training. And because of this restriction, it has a biggest impact on our traveling. And also, and for safety-wise, we also restrict our people from traveling, especially to the country with a high COVID cases. But for engineering company like us, is a B2B business type. I think we need to travel, we need to provide services. And this has caused a lot of challenges to us. And because of this, our operation cost has gone up. And due to the shipment costs, due to disruption of production hours, in order to catch up, we had to incur a lot of OT. And also disruption of supply chain. We used to buy from one country, we have to switch to another country, even though the pricing is a bit more expensive, but we have no choice because in order to meet our customer requirement. And traveling cost has been gone up, especially when you travel to a country, and then every country are imposing this so-called the quarantine of 14 days. You're sleeping, you're sitting inside the, the hotel doing nothing for 14 days, you still have to pay for the cost. And then you come back to Malaysia, you have to quarantine for 14 days again, All these are the costs to a company like us. And in order to continue to support my customer in the foreign country, and the business no longer as usual, as normal, I think we have to set up offices, hire local engineers, hire local technician, engineers or programmers. The cost of engineering cost in Malaysia is one of the lowest in the world. If you set up office in what they call Japan, USA, and these are the expensive country, and mainly our customer coming from US, Japan, China, So all these are the additional costs that incur that we have to absorb. So for us, we are struggling in the sense not because of no business, we are struggling because of traveling, supply chain, and also the logistics costs are going up. Okay, what are the challenges to the local SME? But I view that personally, for being a company with technology, I think the as long as you have the technology, like company, like with the technology products, I think you are not so badly affected because technology are still very important and essential, you know, to move on to the any manufacturing sector. And technology is also necessity because like especially in the semiconductor industry during this pandemic, a lot of businesses are conducted with IT or online, and this has bring the opportunity for semiconductor industry to grow, especially the computer, the phone, you know, and those SME are involved in this technology. I think it become an opportunity to them. But those companies are not involved in the technology such as food packaging, you know. I think they are badly affected in Malaysia. And also, as we know that those companies without the what they call the technology, they have a cash shortage and they cannot continue to hire people. And then for us to move on, especially for technology company, you need to do a lot of R&D. And in order for company to stay competitive, I think we need to continue to hire our engineers. And challenges, I mentioned as earlier, the supply chain, we used to depend on like from one country, we had to switch to another country. And then also we don't know when is the pandemic going to end. Even though the vaccine has been announced, is going to be implemented across the board. So I think the future is difficult to predict. And I always see sometimes the whatever challenges there is an opportunity, you know, for us to see, especially for this pandemic situation, as I mentioned earlier, the opportunity, especially for us in automation company, we see semiconductor industry is growing, factory automation industry is growing, software IT is growing. And in these three sectors, we require a lot of engineers. So we have been urging the university, education institution to train more engineers. As we know, the Malaysian engineers graduate are getting less and less every year. So we are looking at, you know, working closely with the university. Hopefully they can produce more engineers. Government will encourage more family children, you know, to start from young to get into engineering courses. And this opportunity is another opportunity is during this pandemic as a company, we also start to see where is our weaknesses. And there's a lot of opportunity for us to strengthen on the supply chain, and also especially for those automation company, especially for those manufacturing company who do not adapt automation. And a lot of SME company in Malaysia are not, manufacturing company are not adapting automation. I think with this pandemic, I think it will speed up the adaptation of automation. And this is what the government of Malaysia are advocating for Industry 4.0. And also local multinational company are sourcing, in terms of their supply chain, they are sourcing their material and their supply part more locally. And in fact, this is a more opportunity for local SME to grab this opportunity to become their supply chain. And we thank you to the local government. Malaysia have allocated 1 billion for the DISF fund, means Domestic Investment Strategic Fund, to help local technology company in R&D and also the modernization of the manufacturing. I think these are the opportunity for local Malaysian SME to transform. If you are a company with a technology, I think even though with this pandemic, I think we can see there's an opportunity to transform, opportunity to grow. Okay, I think I end up my presentation here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chua, for an exciting. presentation on the opportunities as well as challenges in the industry. With that, I think we have all the 6 speakers in the morning session presenting their presentation today. We will now, before we move to the lunch break, I know everyone is hungry for lunch. We will go for a quick Q&A session. We hope that for those who have questions, you can put on the chat room, or if you would like to actually unmute yourself and speak, maybe you just can put up your hands or send it to us so that we can actually put the questions and you can actually unmute yourself. Okay, let us look at the question in the chat room. I think there are a lot of questions. Maybe I'll just choose try to actually get one each for each presenter. Now, the first question is actually to Mr. Kamposat from Laos. It's actually a combined question from two participants. The question is, do you need more engineers in Laos, and what kind of program do you think would be helpful? And how could, this is actually from Korea, how could NAEK, the National Academy of Engineering Korea, help? And the second question is actually almost similar. Is there any policy to outsource engineers or skilled laborers during this pandemic to support your projects in Laos? So, Mr. Kamposat, maybe you can answer this. How do you actually get more engineers to assist you, and what kind of programs, and how countries like, for example, Korea can assist in this?
Thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we need many engineering, or engineer. Especially we lack of mechanical and also the IT also, because recently, so most of business now they try to transfer to the digital. So and of course we have a program to educate the IT and computer engineer, but still on the way, still lack of opportunity. Many business try to transfer to the digital, but in real practice, we lack of that kind of software engineer and also security cyber. This is one of them. Another one is of course the electrical and mechanical engineer that need to handle the operation and maintenance of such kind of the hydropower plant. This is another one. Of course, during the construction, we need the civil engineer and environmental engineer to handle that kind of thing. But more importantly, is about the regulation and the how to say the regulate body to manage the engineer that have a cross border to Laos, because we cannot control them, which is qualified or not, or what is the engineer come to Laos. How? This is very important. We would like to have the organization to help us to set up that kind of regulating and also management of the international and cross-border engineer in now and in the future. And another any policy. This is the same. We have not well exhibit the policy to bring the skilled labor and also the engineer to the country, because even though the regular policy or for the engineering import is not well organized yet, so it's a big challenge for us. We need first to, but anyway, for some urgent or important project that have to keep going, the company or the investor, they request directly to the government to provide special policy just in case for the urgent, but not well, managed yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kaposut. I'm sure he has answered the question from the participants, and I believe there are a lot of opportunities for participants as well, maybe to contact Dr. Kaposut later on how to assist them. So now let's move on to our next question. This is to NAEK Korea about smart green cities. The question is, thanks for sharing the Smart Green Cities initiative. What are the challenges and issues regarding rapid urbanization through digital technology aimed at transforming cities to smart green cities? So the question, I'll repeat, what are the challenges and issues regarding rapid urbanization through digital technology aimed at transforming cities to smart green cities? The first speaker, would you be able to answer that?
Hello.
Hi,
I think,
Dr. Sujong.
Thank you for the question. I'm not 100% sure if I understand the questions, but the challenge for expanding green smart city is we need to understand what is the main point in smart city. It is digital. So to set smart city, we need to have kind of infrastructure for networking, collecting information, the sensors. So, do you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
So, for developing countries at the beginning, it might be pretty difficult because they need cables and for networkings. But once they settle down, it can collect a lot of information and it can connect the all isolated parted items. Then it can contribute a lot for overcoming these COVID-19 eras. And another aspect in green smart city is I didn't put much emphasis when I was presenting. That is nature. So until recently, many cities, many urbanized areas, they have all gray infrastructures. They don't have many green aspects. They don't have many water aspect. But with the balancing with nature aspect, also built environment, we can improve our daily life quality. So with the post-corona era, since people are just stay at home and cannot go out, even in Korea these days, we are advised not to go out much. And even many of my colleagues, they stay at home, they don't come to work. So people need nature. So Green Smart Cities tries to put some nature aspect within cities, but not only because of to make people enjoy nature, but also it tries to improve resilience of cities that can provide ecosystem service provided by nature. So how to harmonizing those items within city is a big challenge in green smart cities. But in Korea, in Busan, I'm not sure if you know city of Busan. This is the ocean city. They have they just launched that green smart city model. So if you visit Korea next time, please visit that city, an example of a green smart city, and try to enjoy, and hopefully we can improve that kind of models and share among ASEAN countries. Great. It's enough for
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And definitely, I believe we will be wanting to visit the smart green cities after the pandemic. I'm sure all of us here participants are eager to visit as well. Okay, thank you for the answer. We move on to the next question is to Dr. Iswanto. there's a question where does Dr. Iswanto has any plan to extend his recycling solution and app to other countries, especially developing countries in ASEAN? Dr. Iswanto, are you there?
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, so the question, maybe I'll just repeat, do you have any plan to extend your recycling solution and app to other countries, especially developing countries in ASEAN?
Yes, actually, the community-based solid waste management, we also like dissemination not only in Indonesia, but since 2010, we also present in Malaysia and also in Australia. So actually, we can spread the system, including the rappel application, because the working principle of the rappel application almost same with the Grab application. After a customer separate the collect the sellable waste until at least 1 kilogram, heavier is better. Yeah, and they must take a picture, photos, and estimation of the weight, and upload advertise by rappel applications, and the closest collector, the place location will come, check, weigh, and buy the waste by cash or saving. So actually, we can solve the sellable waste, but in unsellable waste, we can upgrade on the skill for recycling, for example, organic waste into the compost with some alternative appropriate technologies, home scale, or also communal scale, and so on, including on the plastic, soft plastic. We can use it for craft and also like material for build on the house and so on.
Thank you, Dr. Iswanto, for your reply. And next question, almost similar. This is for Cambodia, Mr. Lee. The question is actually almost similar to Laos. I think there is actually opportunities for projects that you have presented in your slides. So how is foreign engineers going to actually, how are you going to actually receive foreign engineers to work in Cambodia? Mr. Lee?
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Yao Zhao Feng. Let me share some slide for this question. Of course, this is the process of how the engineer can be work in Cambodia, especially for the foreign engineer that going to work or going to do their project or company in Cambodia. The procedure, the first, they need to register the company in the Ministry of Commerce, or they going to get the licensing from the Ministry of Work if they are individual. And the second, they are going to get the licensing from the ministry, for example, Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Ministry of Mine and Energy, according to their field of the investment. But the important thing is for the foreigner or local engineer must be registered at two board of engineer. One is board of engineer, architect, board of engineer for engineer. And second, register the board of architecture for the architect. The reason why need to register, because licensing, if you are not registered in Cambodia, you cannot get the licensing. So allow me to share another information regarding to how to register. So you can see my sharing.
Yep, Mr. Lee. Yes.
Yeah, the sharing.
Slide.
Yeah, the sharing for ACPE or for AER register that this is the procedure that they going to register. The first professional engineer that they going to, after they study, after they finish their university, must be registered. We call member register. And after that, they continuing their skill in 7 years. After that, they get a PE, and they moving from PE to the ASEAN. We are going to register AR first, and then we continue to ACPE. So ACPE, in ACPECC, our ASEAN chartered professional. So this is the criteria, and come back to another, because you are foreigner, so that's why I would like to show about the foreigner, how to the foreigner register. So the way of the foreigner, this is the register for the foreigner professional engineer. We call OFPE. The applicant must be, you are copy the ACPE for their own country and also confirm the letter from their local firm of national foreigner. And also you need to copy the passport with visa and your country, and also your CV and your permanent address in Cambodia, also civil record for their own country. That is criminal record for their own country. That is, you are going to register the application with the Board of Engineer and continue. We are doing the National Monitoring Committee for verify, and also we send the board engineer will be approved. To be complete this, you must be get the application from the Ministry of Interior for the immigration, that is the visa multi-entry, and for the labor and vocational training, that is for the certificate of employment in Cambodia, and lastly, Ministry of Economy and Finance, that is for tax.
Okay, Mr. Lee, I think
you're mute yourself. You're mute.
Mr. Lee, maybe we can share the presentation slides to the participants later on the procedure, and maybe they can actually contact you as well on the details of the registration, especially foreign engineers.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer. Any information you can ask the Board of Engineer, and also you can visit the website of Board of Engineer Cambodia. We are the national level. Level.
Mr. Lee is a very helpful person as well. Okay, the next question is to Mr. Chua from Pentamaster. Mr. Chua, okay, the question goes like this. What is your advice for integrating the Malaysia's SME into the supply chain of MNCs based in Malaysia? Mr. Chua, the question, maybe I'll just repeat. What is your advice for integrating the Malaysia's SME into the supply chain of MNCs based in Malaysia?
I think as mentioned earlier, important thing is MNC is the company who are expecting quality, technology, and commitment in terms of delivery. But a lot of SME in Malaysia, in terms of digitalizing of their manufacturing process, are still very, very lacking. And there's a few reasons why they are still lacking, because of the capital resources, and also they are in competition with they need to have a qualified engineers. Even though, let's say you want to digitize or modernize your manufacturing, you need a good engineer. It's not just buying a modernized machine, you can just press button and start manufacturing. But in the modernization of any manufacturing, you need a good set of engineers. So in order to be part of the supply chain of the multinational company, because they want to work with a company who has long-term, who can not fail them, because they are looking at somebody, I buy something from you, tomorrow you're still around, and then your quality need to be consistent, your commitment need to be precise, and your cost has to be competitive. So how to be competitive? This is another reason is, modernization, in fact, you make your cost of manufacturing more competitive. If you are today are not more competitive, multinational are not loyal to any one of you, they can go anywhere. If Malaysia no longer competitive, they can move to Vietnam, they can move to Laos, they can move to, anywhere. That's why a lot of, some of the company are moving out of Malaysia, because they're looking at, it's not the cheap labor they want to look at, how the local supply chain are modernized, are being IT connected, and then they can get a tip of information, instantly today I want your production KPI, everything. I cannot give it today instantly. I need 2-3 days to do manual compiling. I think no, decision making is in the split of time. So you don't have instant information, nothing works. So my advice to local SME is modernization is very important. Government need to help all these people, and university need to train more engineers. We need engineers. We need engineers. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your advice from Mr. Chua. I think the key remarks here is we need engineers everywhere now, not only Malaysia, but also other countries as per the presentation earlier. The next question goes to Mr. Kong. Mr. Kong, the question is, you have spoke about on the RCEP, RCEP. In view of the norm currently, like what you said, how will the current COVID situation impact the implementation of RCEP? So in view of the norm now, how will the current COVID situation impact the implementation of RCEP?
Yeah, as you all know, RCEP just signed. I don't think so. The current COVID-19 will have any, let's call it interceptions or whatsoever interruptions to the RCEP implementations. Because as a new norm they have signed, these 15 countries have signed virtually, I think they will implement and discuss virtually as well. I don't think so it will be any disruptions. And then the SME in this region had to be a so-called, that means that they need to put up their mind in order to explore the market in these ASEAN plus the 5 countries, especially, China, Korea, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand out there. Individually, we have all the bilateral agreement, but collectively, I think this is the first time it's the biggest, largest bloc in the world. And then recently, we just noticed that RCEP have this effect, and then the effect on those Greater Bay Area. As we know, Greater Bay Area is Guangzhou, Hong Kong, and Macau. So with this RCEP, I think we have to penetrate into the matrix of not only the country and the region, and this Greater Bay Area as well. I think this Greater Bay Area is 1/5 of the whole all Chinese economies. I think this should be the way of our SME should go forward. There's no any interruptions or whatsoever of this COVID-19 by this new norm and the virtual world. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kong. We really look forward for the RCEP implementation. We have actually gone through the chat room. Other questions. I think most of the questions are answered. Maybe we open to the floor. If there's any additional questions, maybe from Tan Sri or Prof. Yu or any other fellows that you have. Anyone who has any questions? Anyone? Before we actually move to our lunch time. Do you have any questions so far? That doesn't look like. Before we move to the lunchtime, maybe we can have a photo session just before, because I think some came late, and why not we have one more so that we can capture all who actually arrived, especially the speakers. Okay,
Okay.
Yes, are you ready?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, the first page. Now okay, stay on. Second page. Please switch on your video. Second page. Third page. Wait, go on. Last page, right? Go on. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Fo. Once again, we have concluded the morning session with speakers from Korea, Malaysia, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, and it has been a good session with all of you. And with that, this concludes the morning session. And the next session will start at 1:45 Malaysian time. So do come back at 1:40. You can choose to log off and log in again, or you can just remain the computer on. But first, do shut down your video or your voice while you're not here. So we will see you again at 1:45. And thank you once again, and see you.